Good morning, everyone. We are continuing with the second half of the fifth dimension. If we strew clothing from room to room, that disorder is always nagging awareness, bringing us too far out into external consciousness and plunging us into the mire of I should haves. And well, it really doesn't matter. Till the outer dimensions are ordered and stabilized in crystal clear patterns of daily life, we never go deep. The foundation must be built first, and it must be strong. It is not advisable to overlook the importance of the most basic and ordinary daily chores and activities. No one wants to build the rest of the house only to have to take it down later to repair weaknesses in the foundation. The way to get stabilized in the fifth dimensional consciousness is to lead a positive and virtuous inner life and a positive and virtuous outer life. This simple act brings the subtle layers of existence to the forefront of awareness. In the initial stages of meditation, the fifth dimension seems extremely tenuous, almost non-existent, or out of reach. Gradually, after years of sustained sadhana, we come to relate freely within its realms. It becomes very much a part of life as we discover it during meditation, then later in the midst of ordinary activity. When this happens, dramatic changes in our life manifest due to awareness migration to a new channel within the spinal column. If you visualize the Simshumbisi current as a cord of wires all together, awareness would generally flow through just one of them. In order to get into the next wire, it is not possible to jump across the hiatus in the middle. You must go to the top, to the fifth dimension, for that is the only opening. Most people are only aware of one or two currents and believe that is all that exists. Most devotees on the path have already experienced the rechanneling of awareness from the fifth dimension. They may not know what happened exactly, or even when, but something did happen, and here they are seeking within, whereas before the within was perhaps a mental concept. Rechanneling could happen during an intense sorrow or joy, by meeting a holy being, or even during sleep. The fifth dimension is pure superconsciousness, the mind of light, absolute consciousness. In fact, it seems upon entrance to be a new mind, so unrelated is it to all known forms of outer existence. Yet it does associate with the fourth dimension. There's an overlapping there, an interblending of the fourth and fifth layers on the periphery of the fifth, which dissolves as awareness penetrates into the mind of light, where there is no consciousness of time nor space, and things are transparent. From the fifth dimension, we can look millions of years into the past, the Akashic records, or project an object into the future according to vibratory rate. In that sense, it is beyond time, whereas the fourth dimension encompasses a radius of 9 days in the past, present, and future. There are vast areas of knowledge in the fifth dimension that can be consciously tapped. Deep laws of the interworkings of form and force fields can be unfolded. From here we can penetrate the first dimension the inside of the physical universe, and unravel the so-called mysteries of life from the cellular to the subatomic. From the fifth dimension, we can also look into and know other deep mind strata, the sixth and seventh dimensions. There are a multitude of phases within the fifth dimension. There is one that handles karma, another controls time and time cycles, another provides for the coherent and disintegrating forces of evolution and forms, and still another oversees light and its multiplicity of vibratory expression. Faculties of the fifth dimension operate totally separate from the third dimension. They are independent faculties. For instance, you could be cleaning the house and simultaneously be working at the fifth dimensional level in South America and not be aware of it, or be aware of it. It is a totally different phase of the mind, almost like the beginning of a new mind from a certain perspective. It does not relate to your personality, to your intellect, or to anything you do or have done in the second, third, or fourth dimensions. The only way to bring through this consciousness is to have a very stable fourth dimension, divorced from the second and third. Otherwise, you would not be aware of your own functioning on the higher planes. From this we can see that the fifth dimensional world, which is a very vibrant world, is the core of the body of the soul and the pivot point from which human destiny is mapped out. Yet it is a world completely independent of all others. That is the paradox. It is all form in time and space, and yet has nothing to do with what we normally call time and space. The fifth dimension is placid and contains everything, every replica of every object in every stage of evolution. Take this book, for example. It has its existence in the fifth dimension, totally encompassing every stage of its construction, aging, and decay, from split second to split second, as well as its final disappearance into other elements. If you were to look at this book from the fifth dimension, you would see it in its totality of evolutionary development and disintegration. And you would see this all right now. If you were to see a person from the fifth dimension, you would see him as an infant, a grown man, an old man, as dead, decayed, and reborn right now. Totally now, in every split second area of his whole life pattern. It's the same with everything. There are 14 distinct nerve channels within the spine, each governing a complete mind territory, such as language, philosophy, music and art, science, medicine, politics, yoga, religion, and so forth. Only through the fifth dimension can awareness move into other channels. This is what gives people different mind structures, different points of reference, and different inner potential. They relate everything to the channels they are functioning in, and appreciate and socialize with others in the same channel. People functioning in contiguous channels are close, but unless they are flowing through the identical channel of Simshum BC, they will not travel together in consciousness. They may travel closely, but not together. The scientist does not look at life in the same way the mystic does, and neither of them sees it as the musician would. Each channel has its own color. The scientific channel is a very pale green, for example. The channel governing language is lavender and pale yellow. If awareness, for example, is functioning in channel D, it will normally flow there for the remainder of one's life. Awareness cannot move to, let us say, channel F from the second, third, or fourth dimensions. We must meditate extremely deeply in order to reach the fifth dimension at the throat chakra, where entrance into the Simshumbisi is made. That's the reason people are more or less set in their patterns throughout life. They are literally confined to one channel or another of their being, and there they remain, often appreciating others who function in vastly different ways, but unable to be that way themselves, or so it seems. Basically, they do not have the stability of second-dimensional materialism or third-dimensional mental and emotional forces well enough under the control to enter into the fifth dimension long enough to rechannel awareness. One of the reasons that devotees deeply enough evolve to perform sadhana seriously do not change teachers or maintain an eclectic attitude is that other teachers could rechannel them unconsciously or even consciously if he were unscrupulous. For that reason, there is an unwritten code among gurus that no one will take another student unless concrete permission is given for a specified purpose, such as training in a specialized area. Each teacher works on a different channel or ray, and his devotees must work carefully with that energy and not get derailed. The elders of Sri Lanka say that gurus literally own these territories of consciousness, that you cannot enter them without permission. I had never looked at it quite that way, but it is more or less accurate. So ends the fifth dimension. Very interesting writings. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.